For those of you in my Telegram channel and those of you who have tuned into my live streams in the past, you know by now that probably over 90% of my trading revolves around my favorite personal strategy, the Stuber Fibs. Basically, the idea behind this trade setup is to keep everything very systematic, the entries, the stop losses, the take profits, and so on, as well as minimizing trading losses. So what the fibs really help with is basically avoiding taking FOMO positions into breakouts, which usually end up leaving us wrecked. And also to tighten up our invalidations by waiting for a proper pullback before entering a position. Because just remember, just because there's a bullish signal does not necessarily mean long right now, just like bearish signals do not necessarily mean short right now. So to put it quite simply, we are looking for a break in structure followed by a pullback, whether that's up or down. It's crypto, it's stocks, it's a 1 minute chart, a 4-hour chart, doesn't really matter. Structure likes to act the same. So just kind of going into it on the 4-hour here, this might look familiar to a lot of you guys because I was streaming right about here saying that I thought we were going to end up dropping down to 94K. My reasoning for that was this very setup, the very Stuber fib system. That's exactly why I nailed this call down to this level, why I played along there, etc. So my reasoning here, basically, like I mentioned earlier, we're looking for a structure break followed by a pullback. So we have our high, we have our higher high. That means the lowest point between the two will be my low, where I'm going to pull my fib from. So basically from my low up to my high. And you can see that if I end up doing that, that's where my purple box along the bottom is. So to be fair, people who are telling me, you know, Stu, you're not going to see those prices again, they could have been right. The thing is, like I said, with structure being structure, it doesn't really matter time frames or anything. If this was a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart, which is what I typically like to trade, this is what I mean by a bullish signal right here. We got our higher high. That does not mean to long right at that point, right? So, you know, that's where I'm saying that if this was a 1 minute or a 5-minute chart, if I got that bullish signal, my long setup would be down here. So I don't care that it's a 4-hour chart. Yes, it takes longer to play out. That's very natural because it's a longer time frame chart. That's all there is to it. But the structure is the same. We get our higher high, we get our bullish signal, and then we get our pullback into the fibs. So very clearly outlining it here, and that's basically what I was looking for. And that does not mean that you know, we had to end up dumping down to those levels. It's just that if I was looking for a long setup, rather than being one of those people who's FOMO longing into resistance with as soon as we break out like that, and then having your invalidation, your structure for your invalidation should technically be way down here in that case, and that's way too far. That's way too big of a loss. What you're going for is that bullish confirmation followed by that pullback, and that's where these Fibonacci's really stand out here. And then same on the other hand, even if you wanted to really microanalyze things a little bit on this trend here, you can notice here that we have the untested fib here. That's basically going from just from where we topped out here to where we've ended up bottoming out here. Our last lows, let's just look for a bearish Stuber in this case. So this would have been the low, and that's our lower low. This would then be the highest point between the two. So if I pull a Fibonacci, something like that, that's where we can see my resistance fib there. Yes, it has not been tested yet, and maybe it won't be tested, right? But that's just how I use this strategy. And if I'm looking for where could this trend end up topping out, if we're going to set some sort of a lower high structure point, I would expect it to be somewhere up here if we even get up to those levels. Now, I know a lot of people would say that, oh, I can pull a fib like this, and we are testing a 786, 886, but notice we don't have the structure going with that because we never did break this lower high. So, guys, this is obviously a very, very simplified explanation of my favorite trading strategy, but really understanding how smaller micro structure in the charts can help you identify ranges very quickly, which is one of the key factors when executing this type of a strategy, as well as helps to pick out some signs in the structure that can look almost identical, but you can have very different results. So, in my full video breakdown, I go more in depth into the microstructure, which validates these trade setups, as well as confluences to watch for to maximize those profits and to minimize those losses, which is currently available in my free Telegram channel. If you scan the QR code that's on the screen and or follow the steps in the description down below, you can get access to that. On top of that, you will see me sharing many examples, just like you see on the screen here, of these types of setups that I'm looking at, because the more you see it, the quicker and easier they will start to jump out at you, and the quicker you can use that to your advantage. So with that, I'm out. If you like this video and want to learn more about the Stuber fib strategy, there is an additional video for members only that dives deeper into the structure involved with identifying these fib pulls and a more detailed explanation about identifying ranges early, and a couple helpful tips and tricks when searching for these types of setups. Sign up now using the QR code for the free group and enjoy all the benefits it has to offer, from my thoughts on the market conditions to some of my favorite trading strategies and trade setup ideas.